Whoa! Welcome to the What's Already podcast, where we fashion ourselves cinematic judge and jury. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-host, Alec Burgess.
Let's get it.
We appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead and hit that follow, subscribe, like, bell notification button. Hit all those buttons so you can keep up with our episodes live and otherwise. Yeah. Tell a friend about us as well, because we love to help growing a podcast. And tell an amateur / think they're a pro dancer.
A lot of them out there.
Yeah, I mean, I know a few. So if I know a few, that means everybody knows a few. So go tell them about it. We'd love to, though. That you might want to tell them to skip this episode because I don't have a lot good to say about what might be their favorite episode or movie of this. Meaning, we're doing Dirty Dancing. It's week 2 of our movies with great soundtracks, and yeah, there it is. So this movie was
qualifies movie with a great soundtrack.
It does. And I'll hold off on the rest of my thoughts for a minute. But this movie was released August 21st, 1987. It was written by Eleanor Bergstein and directed by Emil Ardolino. I don't think I've ever looked at who directed this movie before. It stars Patrick Swayze, Jennifer Grey, Jerry Orbach, Cynthia Rhodes, Jack Weston, Jane Brucker, Kelly Bishop, Lonnie Price, and I have to say Wayne Knight, even though, I mean, yeah, Wayne Knight, because I love Wayne Knight. And then we'll say Paula Truman as well, including her. I'm not excited about recording this podcast, if you can't tell. Like, I've lost my normal oomph behind movies.
Your spirited intro.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So here it is. Spending the summer at a Catskills resort with her family, Frances Baby Houseman falls in love with the camp's dance instructor, Johnny Castle. Yeah, so, I mean, look, I don't know that there's ever been a more accurate thesis or, like, synopsis that we've read on the podcast than this one, but look, this was your pick, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you for a second, because I'm gonna shit all over this movie, but I want to hear like your thoughts on like some good things, bad things. I just want to hear your thoughts first before I go in.
Yeah, so this is my pick. We've done 2 back-to-back that are pretty much the same movie, just filmed 10 years after one another and takes place 10 years after one another. But I really like this one, whereas I don't really like Grease, which was last week. So what I like about this, first of all, the dancing. Okay, so I appreciate people who can do things that I cannot, like in any way, shape, or form. So you have these really cool dance numbers that I'm kind of sitting there just slack-jawed watching because I can't even do a 2-step. Like that's how bad my dancing is.
That's fair.
Then to follow it up, I think this deals with real life issues in a much better way than Grease or some other movies do. They kind of don't shy away from it. It's very out in the open, issues with like class and creed and things like that. And then, of course, Patrick Swayze.
Fair.
Takes his shirt off.
That's also fair.
And I'm here for it.
Yeah.
And then, like, there is that, uncomfortableness, right, between Johnny and Baby and age difference and things like that. What gets me, I guess, what makes me less critical of this rather than Grease is that little teeny tiny bit of consent that we kind of see. Whereas in Grease, you have the, it's very awkward and it's almost borderline like abusive, right?
Sure. Not to mention like the TV guy that's like 20 years older than the high school student. Like that's obviously the worst part for sure.
It's not consensual. In Dirty Dancing, it is. And so that's where I'm able to turn a little bit less of a critical eye on it to where I still enjoy the movie. If that makes sense.
It does.
Now the floor is yours to take a huge steaming dump on it.
Look, okay, so first I want to start by saying I love Patrick Swayze. I even love Jennifer Grey. I wish she hadn't fixed her nose. I thought that was great. I thought that was a huge mistake on her part. And I think she would admit that because she's almost, when she was younger and she first did it, she was almost unrecognizable when she came back to Hollywood, which is a shame because I like the acting in this movie. For me is the difference. Like, I think if I'm comparing the two, like, which we've done a little bit of, and then I'll just get into it, but like, the acting in this is superior to Grease by far because it's not campy. It's not based on a musical. It's just, you're right. It's almost the same movie without the high school setting, but it's, I like Patrick Swayze. I like Jennifer Grey. I like all the actors in this movie. I think they're very good, even at a young age. And I love Patrick Swayze and everything. So I just don't like this movie. And I think for me, it's because, one, I'm not impressed by the dancing, because I'm not a good dancer by any stretch, but not even remotely, but I have friends who are. And so, and I've been to like their recitals and I've been to their performances and I'm like, damn right. And in the 80s, and I didn't see this until I was probably early teenage years and everybody was talking about it. I'm like, what the okay, I got to watch this movie. And then I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? So from that perspective, I'm like, this isn't great for me, though I do respect it. And I respect the fact that this movie, okay, technically the movie didn't win an Oscar, but the song won an Oscar. And I love that most people don't realize that that's Patrick Swayze singing in that movie, in that song too. So it's like, I don't know. There are good things about it. I just feel like it also suffers from its time frame of release in 1987. 84 to 89 is probably one of the greatest eras of movie making ever, if not the greatest era of movie making. And I know you'll disagree with that because you love the old movies. But for me, 1984 to 1989 is probably the greatest 5 years-ish, 5 to 6 years of movie making, period. And this movie, compared to what I'm used to watching from that era, I'm like, this movie sucks balls. And it partially is because I'm so uncomfortable the whole time with this movie, even to a certain degree, more than Grease, because Grease is so ridiculous at its core and it plays so goofy and weird and it doesn't take itself seriously most of the time. This movie actually is, and to your point, is talking a lot about social commentary from the fact that this is probably more true to life than we ever want to admit. All the time, there are inappropriate relationships. I almost said a word that get us in trouble on YouTube, so I stopped myself. But they're inappropriate relationships between an older person and a younger person happening, and the gap isn't that big that it's like, oh shit. It's just big enough to be a little bothersome and go, ugh. But to your point, there is some level of consent more so than in other places. But it makes me so uncomfortable. Like, and some of the dialogue is really bad. Like, nobody puts baby in a corner. Like, I just want to be like, Swayze, how did you allow them to fucking get you to say that line? Because Jesus, dude, it's terrible.
What I love about that line, though, is like how much it's used outside of this movie's context. And so if you don't know anything about this movie, you think it's like this really important line. And it's such a weird place to where it makes zero sense.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah, I just can't. And out for me, like, I think that's the problem that I have. And maybe it's a me thing because this movie's popular. People love this movie. I know it's an unpopular opinion for me to say it's a bad movie.
But that's fine, JJ. That's okay.
But outside of the music on this, I hate this movie. Like, when I saw your list, I was like, God damn it. I don't want to watch this. But I did, and I can't handle it. But, like, yeah, it's just, and for me, I don't know. I get what you're saying, too, and I don't disagree with you, which is rare in these situations. when we disagree on a movie, but it is a more serious take on an inappropriate relationship. And then you combine it with all of the other quote unquote chick flicks that were happening in the mid 80s, mid to late 80s, and early 90s, even, where it's this love story amidst this, the Romeo and Juliet modernization of my family's rich and your family's working class or poor, and you work a shitty camp, like whatever resort job, and I don't have to work at all because daddy's got a ton of money and we fall in love because opposites attract. I'm okay. No, I'm not okay with it. It's been done 100,000 times and it was done better than this before this. And so I'm just like, I'm to the point, the late 80s got to the point for me, and this movie especially, I think, is one that hit me wrong in the same way that a lot of movies today that are just copycats of great movies and great storylines just to sell and tickets and to get people to come and watch a movie. And then you slap a couple of major actors on it, because outside of Patrick Swayze at the time, nobody heard of fucking anybody in this movie. So they said, well, let's retell this story that's been told in the last 5 years at least 12 times in a pretty well, and then we'll slap Patrick Swayze on the front of it, fresh off of being a belligerent bar bouncer, and then, like, technically he wasn't belligerent, but being a bar bouncer and like all that stuff, like fresh off his fame, and go, let's slap him on it, we'll get a pretty girl, and we'll make a movie. And I'm like, ugh. And to me, I feel it. I'm like, it feels remade 1,000 times to me.
This actually makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah.
And it goes into a topic that we experience quite a bit in just our age difference, because you were alive when this movie came out.
That's fair.
I hadn't been born. My parents hadn't been married yet.
Fuck you. No.
And so you're seeing kind of this movie around these other stories.
Yeah.
Whereas by the time I'm getting around to see it, it's distance itself.
Mm.
So I'm not seeing these other dozen, movies filming with the Romeo and Juliet. All I'm seeing is Dirty Dancing, because that's the one that made it out of the decade. Right. The others you can still find, you just got to go looking for it. Whereas this with the star power and everything. So there we go. That might be the difference, JJ.
Could be. It could be. I mean, I also think too, like, so this one's one that, and it's going back to the fact that we're talking about a movie that's so popular. And even in 87, it was popular. Like, Patrick Swayze was famous enough and beloved enough, and he takes his shirt off and he's semi-glossy when he does it, that, like,
perfect.
It worked out, right? Like, even I can't deny my heart beats a little faster when it happens. So I'm not, and then if he's not shirtless, he's wearing tank tops. So it's like on the verge, like, he's just like, why are you even wearing it, dude? But, like, there's also some very heavy content to this movie that, like, I don't even know if I'd call it a love story versus, like, a vacation from hell that actually turns into, hey, I met some creepy ass older guy that is emotionally unattached and I'm going to fall in love with him. Like, I mean, there's some dark shit that happens, like botched medical procedures that, again, I won't say because we'll get in trouble from YouTube on that one as well. But I mean, that's a heavy topic in and of itself. And you're like, whoa, everybody ends up okay, though, and that shit's emotionally pro, against. I don't give a shit about that. Regardless, going through that is emotionally and mentally, and it's hard. It's a challenge, period. No matter which side of that fence you fall on. So I'm like, I watch that and I'm like, oh my God, this is dark, but it's wrapped up in this pretty love story bow that I'm like, I don't know that even if, and this is like the epitome for me too, because I have a problem with love movie, and we've talked about this before. They're so unrealistic to me, and this one might be the height of, probably not, but it's up there for me because the shit that they go through, I'm like, you don't recover. This isn't a movie that, like, at the end of it, everybody goes away and they're like, yay, fuck off. They broke up a week after she fucking left. You know what I mean? Or if he followed her ass, they broke up 5 years later with a kid that they now have to figure out how to co-parent, and that shit's not going to work out well. That's how I look at this. I go, how are we looking at this and celebrating this love story? Because this shit is not going to fucking work.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah, it hurts me. I'm like, oh.
I just can't wait for them to come out with Dirty Dancing 2.
Oh God! Well, didn't they do Dirty Dancing?
Don't ruin this for me, Jake.
Come on, dude! I swear they did Dirty Dancing like in Cuba or
They
something like that.
I haven't seen it though, so it doesn't exist.
You're in trouble now, dude.
While you're looking that up, I will say so. Kind of going back to this thing we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube with the botched medical procedure.
Yes,
that's gonna get a really annoying really fast.
I know. Right?
I really liked how they used that as a way to bridge this societal gap, right? Because up to this point, Baby's trying to kind of ingratiate herself with the staff at the camp, and it's not going well because they all see her as this primped up princess. She's coming down to their level because she's bored, having everything handed to her on a silver platter.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then you have this kind of like very emotional, very kind of important thing. And it's kind of cool to have her be able to bridge this gap. And even to the point of her dad, who's a doctor, convenient that. Yeah. But that's another one where, kind of at this time, there's nothing stopping him from calling the police. Taking this situation and escalating it further.
Yeah.
Or just even refusing to help. Despite his, creed as a doctor.
Sure.
But he could do any one of these things and nobody would bat an eye because of where he is, who he is, and who he's dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's very kind of cool how you have these societal gaps. But the way that they're bridged is a way that you'd expect people to act, even though they don't always do it.
True. That's a fair point. And I didn't really think about that too, because my next point with this movie was going to be, I don't find it believable because if I am, and again, I'm an older man at this point, right? Like, so I look at the world a little differently. If I'm Patrick Swayze and I'm almost double this girl and she is a brat, like spoiled, rich girl, bratty, there's no fucking way I'm giving her the time of day because she would annoy the fuck out of me. Like the level of immaturity, like I would just be like, and even at, I don't know, whatever his age was, what is he, 20? I don't fucking know.
Working 2 jobs,
old enough that he should be annoyed by this very young.
Being the eye candy and having to deal with the older clientele at this, camp, and then having, Baby hang on,
Yeah, no. Well, and I look at this and I go, why would you go with this insipid fucking snotty little girl when you have mature, beautiful, experienced women that want your nuts? Fuck off, dude. Sorry, teenager. I'm out. There's not a chance in hell. So to your point, like I guess I've never looked at it from, because I always try to like bypass in my brain the botched medical procedure piece that I'm like, so it's a good point. Like I stand corrected in that is a good connective tissue piece to bring two parties together that I'm like, nah. Because I just find it so unbelievable when I watch this. I'm like, why? Why would you do that to yourself? She's going to annoy you in like a month to the point of like, stop talking forever. Like I can't handle
you even
that shit.
See that a little bit, like,
sure.
I don't know if you pay attention, but when they're first dancing, like it's all business.
Oh yeah.
It is all business.
Yeah.
Move here, stop this, do this. What are you doing? Again. And then it takes a nice little left turn and now it becomes more fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that I kind of enjoy. That's the right word, maybe, I don't know.
It's fair.
But I see it and I'm like, I see what you did there, Emil.
Yeah.
But are you ready to ruin my life? And did you find Dirty Dancing in Cuba?
Yeah, it's called Dirty Dancing Havana Nights.
Oh.
And it had Patrick Swayze in it.
Of course it did.
And get this, it also had Diego Luna.
You know what's gonna come up is this is gonna be a pic of our wonderful patron Chad the Dick.
Stop it. I will die. Because this looks, I don't know, maybe it's better. I don't know. But like
I guarantee you it's not.
The actors, I'm in pretty like it's got okay, so here's the cast. Ready?
Okay.
Patrick Swayze, Diego Luna, Ramala Garai, but like you won't know her unless you like enjoy period pieces from like way back, but like she did a lot of like she was in Elizabeth or Becoming Elizabeth, Emma. She does a lot of like the 1800s period pieces early on in her career, but she's awesome. Celia Ward, Jonathan Jackson, who if it weren't for that country music TV show, he probably wouldn't be nearly as famous as he got for a minute. But you got John Slattery, like January Jones. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I knew it existed. I've never seen it. And hopefully I never will. But like I'm looking at this cast going, Jesus Christ.
It's gonna be on a list somewhere.
Yeah, no shit. There are some serious people in that movie. But then they're also talking about, I guess reading here, they're talking about a sequel that will have Jennifer Grey in it. That will be Dirty Dancing 2. Because obviously Rip can't have Patrick Swayze in it anymore, which is a crying shame. That man was fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. But here's my last issue. And then if I'm dad, the fact that dad comes around, and look, I get why. Like I understand the explanation of why Papa Baby comes around. But I think, look, and I'm not a dad. I'm an uncle of two very beautiful young women. That's as close as I get to being a parent. But I also had a younger sister that is almost 8 years younger than me that I love dearly. And I would like have me as an older brother, let alone as a father. Like I can't imagine coming around at this time in my daughter's life. She's 25 years old. He's 35 years old. Fine. That's, you know what I mean? You've lived life long enough at that point for me to say you're smart enough or dumb enough. And one way or another, you have to live with those decisions. At 17, barely 18 years old, fuck off. Especially where this dude's almost 30 or 20, whatever, mid 20. I don't remember how old he is. I can never remember that number, but he's old enough that as a father, I can't put myself in that man's headspace to go, I'll find a way to be okay with it. Even after everything that goes on, like I'd be like, great, awesome, good man, still not fucking dating my daughter. And the fact that you slept with her means I might beat your ass in the night. And if I won't, because I'm old, I'm going to send someone to do it for me.
I was going to say, did you see Patrick Swayze's abs? Papa Baby's bouncing off of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it through. I was like, this is Patrick Swayze at peak Patrick Swayze. He probably beat the old man's ass. However, I'm a rich doctor. I'm going to send somebody to beat your ass and make sure and I don't give a shit if daughter's mad at me, because the fact that I know that this isn't going to last means I can live with her being mad at me for a while. You know what I mean? Until she realizes that this isn't going to last. But I think that's this movie and some other movies like it. But this is, I think, the first one that we've done it that really disconnects me because I think about reality versus most movies. I turn reality off and I get mad when movies make me think about real life. But this one does. And I'm like, not a fucking chance. And I think that's at the core of all my issues is I find this movie highly unbelievable. And I have a hard time for this movie, and I don't know why, turning off my suspension of disbelief because it's a movie and it's supposed to be entertainment. I can't do it with this movie. I just watch it and go, there's no fucking way that the amount of bad luck, good luck, coincidence, whatever you want to call it, for all of these pieces to fall into place, to switch the mindset and to actually have dad come around and go, okay, it's okay, and everybody's happy and go lucky at the end of this, is so outrageous to me that I just can't get past it. And then you throw in like the nitpicky shit that is normally nitpicky for me, like the dialogue's not great all the time, and I don't really like most of the, I don't love the setting because it just feels redone. But anyway, I think that's my biggest at my core is I just look at it and go, this is completely unrealistic to me.
Here's the thing. I agree with you
Mm-hmm.
in that sense, where that's the thing I don't buy. And the only thing that makes it to me believable in this unbelievable film setting, like you say, is the fact that it seems to be how they wrap everything up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you have this camp in the Catskills, which, first of all, the most unbelievable thing is that anybody would go to a resort in the Catskills. Let's be honest. But you have this very, I hate using the word, but conservative kind of area, right? Sequence, everything like that. Everything is rigid, kind of, here's the thing. It's, you go to this because this is where you came as a kid, right? And the guy who hosts it, like, he's the guy, right? For summer retreats and resorts. And you see this change kind of happening to the end, to where you have that, I don't know, fight song. I don't know what to call the song that they're singing at the end, where it's Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know what it is, but they have this, and you can see, you know, the difference on the faces between the guests and the staff. And he kind of has this moment where he's like, the world's changing, type of a thing. And so then you have this almost shift to where now it seems to be everything's okay with it. I don't think it's well done, and I'm reaching, right? I'm casting out a fishing pole and hoping I get something with it. But that's what makes it okay for me, because I have the same problem in the sense that I was like, okay, I do not see dad coming around this quick based on what we have. I think you could have done it better. But I feel like this movie is already kind of long enough as it is. If you add in that extra sequence to make it kind of make more sense.
Yeah.
Now you're running into real issues with time.
That's fair. Because it's pretty short. I mean, it's only like an hour and 40 minutes, but it doesn't feel like an hour and 40 minutes.
It's long. It's a long hour and 40-minute film.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I'm with you. I get, and maybe that's the part, is because of how far the turnaround from dad is. Like, because it's unrealistic of me to say that something like this would never happen, because it's happened a billion times. The inappropriate age gap relationship, it still to this day happens. The problem, and even parents like dads are like, okay, I accept it, because they have to, or they lose a certain level of credibility and maybe even a relationship with daughter, and they're not willing to sacrifice that piece. But it's still a very reluctant acceptance, versus this guy feels like he's going to take him fucking fishing. Yeah, exactly. Take him out, go hang out on the lake with him tomorrow. And I'm like, that's too far for me. So no, I think you make a good point that, yeah, it's a struggle, but it does have a great soundtrack.
That it does.
The music is outrageously good. And I think, surprisingly, again, one of the best songs stars, because I didn't know it until like way later when Patrick Swayze's singing, and I'm like, hold on, I think my dad told me. He's like, yeah, that's Patrick Swayze. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
He's a 5-tool guy. He can do it all.
Seriously. Guy can act, he can dance, he can sing. Like, fuck. He's good. It's sad we lost him, especially the way we did. Like, I remember seeing pictures of him at the end, and I'm like, God damn, like, that's terrible. What a horrid disease. It's unfortunate. But yeah, the soundtrack, like Otis Redding, you have some great fucking music.
Right? Hungry Eyes was my ringtone for the longest time.
Dude, I love that song so much. Love it. I almost broke out in the song right there. Nobody wants that, but that shit was, yeah, it was good, man. Big Girls Don't Cry. I love that song too. What else is on there?
I mean, I've had the time of my life.
Well, yeah, I mean that one.
Kind of got to put that one on there, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Well, then so he sings. No, because he doesn't sing "The Time of My Life." It's the "She's Like the Wind" one that he sings. That Swayze sings.
Oh, okay.
"Time of My Life" is I don't remember who sings that, but he's not
Bill Medley, Jennifer Warnes.
Bill Medley. Gotcha. Yep. Yeah, so he sings. Swayze sings "She's Like the Wind."
Gotcha.
That's the
and
one.
And then the other one that I feel like you hate, but I find hilarious.
Yeah,
is the "Love Is Strange."
Oh fuck, you're right on point.
Because it is such a stupid song.
It's so stupid.
Such a stupid point in the movie, but I find it hilarious.
Yeah,
and I don't know why. I don't have a reason for it, other than I just cackle every time it comes on.
Well, and I feel bad saying that because it's got Bo Diddley in it, but like, it's so stupid. I fucking hate it so much. And maybe it's because it's like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Maybe because it's just so stupid in the movie, but like, it's stupid. Like, I hate that. I do hate that movie. But it's got, or that song, but it's got great. Yeah, Some Kind of Wonderful. I just was looking over the song list finally. I don't know why I didn't before, but yeah. So
got some good pieces.
Yeah. Kellerman's Anthem. That's the one you're talking about. It's literally it's written with the same melody as the University of Kansas alma mater.
Alma mater is the one I was looking for, not fight song.
Fucking Kellerman's Anthem. What a stupid fucking I don't know. Well, and it's also got another one that doesn't In the Still of the Night. That's a great song too, even though they misspelled night. Yeah, great music, great soundtrack. Just an awkward movie for me. Awkward movie. All right, you ready to rate this thing?
I am ready.
Have at it, my friend.
Because it's my movie, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't know JJ and I were going to disagree quite so much on this movie, to be honest. Even though I think you told me that you hated it, I just in one, headpiece and out the other. Yeah. And I really like this movie. Now it's not great, it's not perfect, but one of my favorite points is actually where baby's like practicing her dance steps, like that whole montage thing. I don't buy that she could have gotten as good as she did in the 3 days she had to practice.
Yeah.
But it's nice to show. I like when movies show that, for lack of a better term, training montage.
Yeah.
Right. Instead, in putting time and effort into it, to where she's not perfect.
Sure.
She messes up all the time and kind of improving throughout the process. Because to me, that takes more acting skill than actually knowing how to dance. Is how to dance poorly and then progressively get better.
That's fair.
This is a tough one for me to rate because I don't want to go all out on it.
Rate it how you feel, dude.
Rate it how I feel. I hate going first.
Okay.
Easy peasy. I'm going to give this a 4. I'm going to watch this anytime anybody suggests it. I don't necessarily watch it for anything else than Patrick Swayze most times, but when I sit down and watch it, I like watching it. There we go. 4 for me.
There you go. There you go. This movie's such a conundrum for me because I know how popular it is and I know how unpopular my opinion of this movie is, but I hate it. Like, I just can't, like, and you know me, like, I'm sure I told you I hate it, and it was like, oh, JJ hates every movie to a certain level, because I do, like, I always find shit wrong. Even with shit I love, I find shit wrong with it for the most part. But this one, I fucking hate this movie. Like, I really do. It hurts my soul to watch this movie because it's just so awkward for me and uncomfortable, and I don't enjoy it. I do love Patrick Swayze, though. And I love Jennifer Grey after this movie. But I think I hate her character so much that I can't like her from this movie. And this was not my first introduction to Jennifer Grey. I didn't watch this movie until after I had watched her she was in other stuff, and I don't remember what movie it was that I watched her first in, but this was not my first introduction to Jennifer Grey. So I watched it and went, what the fuck was she thinking? the other part of this movie that gets me is how often, and you kind of touched on it, is how often people reference this movie in other movies. Like, even I was thinking about as we were watching this movie, and the whole part where he lifts her up over his head, shit, like the most famous piece of this movie. So many TikToks of people fucking that shit up and dropping people on their faces. Or like, there's a movie, have you seen Crazy Stupid Love with Ryan Gosling? It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And that movie uses it, like, he's like, I used that movie to get a girl in bed. And I'm like, God damn it, if that would work. Like, and I watch that and go, fuck, this movie has way too many fucking pieces that people reference for this movie for my comfort level, because it's so skeezy, this movie. Anyway, look, the acting is good because of Swayze, and some of the main, like, the guy that plays the dad is amazing. Like, there's great actors in this movie. I just hate the content. The music's great. I'm going to give it a 2, because there are parts of this movie that when they hit, they're very good. And like, some of the harder pieces, as much as they make me uncomfortable, they actually play out well. It's the rest of the shit that it leads to that's so unbelievable to me that I'm like, I just can't with this movie, because it does feel very unrealistic to me. I'd rather watch sci-fi that'll never happen than watch this shit, because it's so grounded in what should feel like reality, but to me doesn't translate to realistic shit, that I have a hard time with it. But there are good parts to it in the dark moments where they're like, yes, that's hard. That's a hard thing to do. It's just, we transition to everything's happy and we all get along at the end. And I'm like, ugh, I can't handle it. So I'm going to give it a 2. I watch this as little as possible if I can get, and I would never watch it again if I could get away with it. But I know that'll never happen. Casey enjoys
Casey likes it.
Yeah. Okay. She's a girl. I mean, she's a woman, so she likes it. I have yet, and I don't say that fucking shitty. I say that because I have yet to meet a woman that doesn't enjoy Dirty Dancing, because they're looking at it from a very different perspective than I ever have. So it's not because I feel like you're all lovey-dovey. It's because I get that forbidden, you know what I mean? Like, the forbidden side for men is a little creepier. So I can't, but like, if roles are reversed and I'm a 17-year-old dude and I'm getting chased by, or I'm working on a almost 30-year-old woman, I can't deny that maybe there's no maybe. I'm all in, right?
Yeah, I was going to say
17, 18 years old, I'm all in. Fucking sign me up, dude. So from that perspective, but from my side, I just can't do it. So there it is. Dirty Dancing. Man. Tell everybody where they can find us so I can be done with this shit.
I love it. I'm so glad Mattson isn't on this episode. That's terrible. So thank you for tuning into our review of Dirty Dancing. I for sure have had the time of my life. This is week 2 of movies with great soundtracks. And yeah, the best one of the month so far. Special shout out and thank you to our patrons, whose name has probably changed half a dozen times since recording this. Chad the Dick. You are the best. We appreciate you immensely and are grateful that you are still with us. Patreon is a place to join us and get involved in the content of What's Our Verdict. And by joining, you can take away the monopoly that Chad the Dick currently has. Plus, if you join, I will make JJ send you a sticker of his face as an extra incentive.
Sold.
With that being said, I will kick it back to the Titan of Terror, the Sultan of SWAT, or JJ.
That's right. And it'll be an animated version of my face, but still my face. It's amazing stickers.
Nice little bubble sticker.
That's right. I have one somewhere, but I think it's on my old PC that I've swapped out. So I need to put a new one on there. I have all of our faces on my old PC, actually.
Nice.
Yep. So thanks for tuning in. With that, we appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Cinemagic out.
Whoa!